So let's get back to the map. We're talking Georgia, 16 electoral votes. It's the poll of all polls has it up a point. As I mentioned, RCP has Trump up 1.4. Are you with me that barring something cataclysmic, Georgia comes home as well, and the 16 electoral votes go into Trump's column?
Yep. And I'll give you the fun fact there. Just like you have Hispanic voters that are helping Donald Trump in Arizona,
Yep.
black voters, especially black men in Georgia. I think at the end of the day, Donald Trump's probably going to get at least 25, maybe even 30% of black men in Georgia. And there's precedence for that. We used to work when we were working for Governor Nathan Deal down in Georgia. He used to get over 20% of the black vote. So, and I think a lot of these black voters, again, they're not happy with the economy, but they also can't stand these open border immigration
Right.
policies.
So it's like we like Trump and we don't like her. It's the perfect storm.
It's going to come.
All right, let's talk North Carolina for a second. Trump up 0.7 there. The poll of the big Nate Silver conglomeration thing has him up 0.2. So these three states, now obviously this is the least of the three. North Carolina, I think the Dems really want to make a play here. Trump's won it twice, but it's not been by much. And so right now the RCP average has Trump up 48.6 to hers 47.9. That's 0.7. That's pretty much what, I mean, Nate Silver has it at, 0.2. But so you got Trump with an advantage. This is as close as you can get to a tie, though, favoring Republicans.
Yeah, but again, I still think when you look at those few undecided voters, there's a reason why they're not voting for Kamala Harris. And she's the pseudo incumbent, even though this is a different kind of race because she's the vice president. Donald Trump was a former president. But that's where you're seeing that silent, shy Trump voter among those few undecideds. They overwhelmingly don't like the direction that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have taken the country in.
Okay, so here's the beautiful thing. If Trump takes those three states, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina, then he basically, and we'll get to this in a second, just needs to pick off one of their blue wall states and he wins. The interesting thing is Nevada, which goes back and forth, seemingly doesn't matter, right? If he can take Michigan or Pennsylvania, it's still a win for him. It's a lot closer. But so let's kind of cross the Nevada Rubicon first, and then we'll get into the blue wall. But Nevada, I think, is fascinating because as much as I'd like to win it, we don't need to win it, if that makes sense. But yet, it's the thing that I find fascinating in Nevada right now is you've got the RCP average of Harris up about a point, 1.3. She's got 48.6. Trump's got 47.3. But in a lot of the polls that I see, Jim, in Nevada, and I need you to, I see a higher degree of undecided or third party than anywhere else. Why is that?
Why is that? Because, again, I think that's that shy Trump voter. And they've gotten wrecked by the inflation and also the immigration problems. And, again, that's another place where Donald Trump is running well with Hispanic voters, like numbers we've never seen. Like, look, we've always said over the last couple decades, like Nevada's been kind of the one there where Lucy takes the football from Charlie. Yep. But it's different now. It's different.
So the unions, I worry about the unions in Clark County. I do. I worry about them coming in on election day.
But what's interesting? The unions are going to be there for Kamala Harris, but the union workers, they're there with Donald Trump. And I'll tell you, true story, where he came up with no taxes on tips was talking to his employees at his hotel out in Las Vegas. We didn't test that in a survey. She was talking about how gas prices, grocery prices, et cetera, are going through the roof. So he came up with no taxes on tips. And look, the unions are going to come out guns a-blazing because we all know a lot of these unions, they're nothing more than a bunch of Democrat apparatchiks. But their rank and file is going to vote for Donald Trump. And I think just because they've been hit so hard with the inflation out there and immigration, I think, look, when it's about those two issues, Donald Trump is going to win every single time.
Yeah, the interesting is it's so funny you say that, like he's got this gut issue or gut about what issues resonate with people because he actually talks to them. I think that no tax on Social Security, the no overtime. Like these are all things that people who are working,
Yeah.
right, who are blue collar folks, who are hourly workers, go. I get that. I'm with you on that. And it's so funny because they're running these ads now, like Donald Trump's rich, and I don't give a crap how. In fact, I'm glad he's rich,
Yeah.
and I love the fact that he embraces it, but he also understands because he hangs around with hotel workers and restaurant workers and construction workers. He understands what resonates with these hourly workers, with these gig workers, and he's like, okay, what this is what I'm going to give you, and they get it. That's the thing. I don't think the Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and just the bubble they live in that they see these folks. All right, let's move to the blue wall. And let's kind of maybe go in reverse order so that we end at Pennsylvania, because I think all roads end in Pennsylvania right now. So I'll just, for the sake of it, pick. Well, you tell me, of the three states, if you had to say which one do you think Harris has the best chance, Wisconsin, Michigan, or Pennsylvania? Where would you tell them, in all honesty, is going to be you have the best opportunity?
Look, I think the fact that this race is coming down to the blue wall, basically the Big Ten election in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, it tells you that Donald Trump is on offense because
he is. He can win all three. There's no question in my mind. But I'm asking you, and I get your job, Jim. So I'm not trying to put, but but I would just say this. I feel good about Pennsylvania. We'll talk about it in a second. I feel good about Michigan for interesting reasons. I think if you had to tell Harris one place, if you're going to pick of the three states, I would just argue that Michigan, Wisconsin to me, because of the universities there, the young people, whatever, you probably have the best shot. It doesn't mean you're going to win it. I think you have the best shot in Wisconsin. Do you agree with that?
And I think just the fact that we're saying maybe Wisconsin is the place for her to have the best shot tells you how weak her campaign is.
Right.
Look, I look at, and everybody says Wisconsin has become the ultimate swing state. And by the way, that's a state where you have a lot of these bad media polls. Because I tell everybody, I remember getting the call from President Trump back in 2020. I think it was an ABC, Washington Post poll right before the election, had Trump down 17 there. And he calls me and he says, "What's wrong with the poll?" And I said, "What's wrong with the poll?" I said, there's samples like plus 15 Democrat. That's just not Wisconsin.
Right.
It is literally the ultimate swing state.
Well, look, here's the thing. Right now, the RCP average has her up 0.8. You want to talk about in Wisconsin, right? It's 49.1 to Trump 48.3. That's a turnout game. That's literally like who gets their people out.
And by the way, Sean, and look, everybody, it's an old cliche. You got to turn out your people and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to tell you, the thing that keeps me up at night is the Democrats, especially with the unions. They have that better infrastructure where it goes with early voting. And we've got to do everything in our power over this next 35, 36 days to catch up with them on that and make sure people vote early. And people are always like, well, why should I vote early? I just feel better about, you never know what's going to happen in life, weather, everything else. And the other thing is with this, you will save the Trump campaign and the Republicans money.
Yep.
Because what happens is once you vote, we're not going to bother you anymore. Once you've cast that vote, we're going to say, hey, Sean Spicer, he already voted. I don't have to call him. I don't have to send him any more mail. I don't have to put him on the digital list and all that other kind of stuff. Go vote. You will save us resources, because the big advantage that Donald Trump has is among a lot of these lower propensity voters. People that nobody turns out the Republican base better than him. And what's going to happen?
So when you're looking at a poll, because you got Scott Pressler running around Pennsylvania registering these people in Lucerne County, and so when you guys are creating a screen, and you've got all these new voters coming on the rolls, I get it. I've been saying this for a while. That makes your job very hard, because you go, Bobby so and so just registered to vote. They feel good about it, but you now have to guess whether he's a likely voter or an unlikely voter, right?
By the way, the new registrants, they're the easy ones, because they registered to vote. They came in. New registrants almost always come in and vote, because there's a reason why I just registered to vote. I registered because I want to let my voice be heard, whether it's for Kamala Harris or whether it's for Donald Trump, et cetera. And that's usually what's driving it there. But what we're seeing in our surveys is, and we track that in the surveys, if they have no history of voting, new registrant, they've never showed up to vote, et cetera. And then we also look at the people that maybe have only showed up in one out of the last 4 elections. What we're seeing is Donald Trump and the Republicans are doing significantly better with what we call those lower propensity voters. But the tough part is just trying to find those for voter contact as you're going along, because obviously you want to make sure those people vote, because they tend to be more disgruntled, more likely to say the country's off on the wrong track.
Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.